Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new sniper rifle available with the In the Name of the Tsar DLC. This is the Vetterli Vitali M1870 bolt action rifle. It brings something different to the battlefield this time around, making it a unique weapon. I was very interested to see how this weapon performed based on the Synthic stats when I first saw them. I was like, wow, this is actually going to reduce the range required for the sweet spot even closer than the Martini Henry. So this could be a real powerhouse, depending. Now, once I got it in game and started playing around with it, I noticed that there was a few things holding this weapon back, and we'll get into that in just a second. Now, there are two different variations of this sniper rifle. Unfortunately, they're both pretty similar. We have the infantry variation, which just has iron sights, and then we have the carbine variation, which does have some of these basic red dot optics. Both perform very similarly. The standard infantry variant, to unlock it, you need 15 kills with the 1903 experimental and 20 periscope spot assist. These really aren't hard to do. It'll take you a short period of time. And then to get the infantry variant, you need 50 kills with the SMLE carbine, and you also have to destroy a vehicle with a K-bullet. The Carbine Unlock is without question a bit more work, and it's a little trickier to get that vehicle kill with the K-bullet. Sometimes you'll get lucky and get it right away. It took me quite a while, but eventually I did get it. And in my opinion, I think the Carbine variant is better, but both are so similar in performance, it's probably not going to matter too much one way or the other which one you use. In fact, you might just want to pick one of the weapons based on whether you like iron sights or these sort of red dot type optics. The main stat difference between the two weapons is that the carbine variant has, generally speaking, better hipfire and better accuracy while moving around, which I think is a very valuable stat compared to the other one. And then the infantry variant has faster spread reduction. So in theory, you can fire it faster and more accurately. But if you're on the move and trying to run around and run and gun, then the carbine variant is probably a little bit better. Especially if you're going to try and hip fire a little bit in close quarters, the carbine variant without doubt will be better in that it'll give you a more accurate shot. Now, let's talk about the sweet spot mechanics of this rifle, because that's what really sets this weapon apart and could make it potentially a very special weapon, provided it doesn't have a few things holding it back. Now, the sweet spot on this gun hits 100 damage at 20 meters away from you. That makes it the closest range rifle, bolt action rifle anyway, that can one-shot kill somebody with a body shot. And so that's pretty impressive. There, that sweet spot damage lasts for 30 meters and ends at around 50 meters away, and then starts dropping back down. It drops all the way down to 70 damage at further range. In extreme close quarters, if you hit them before 20 meters, it's going to do about 90 damage, and it kind of ramps up at around 10 meters away to that 100-meter damage spot. So if you do hit them in extreme close quarters, you can always switch to a sidearm to try and finish them off. Now, there's a big difference between this weapon and the Martini Henry. You might be thinking, well, the Martini has to load a new shot every time it fires, and its sweet spot is a little bit further away. Shouldn't the Vetterli just instantaneously be better than this gun? Because, I mean, it's got a closer range sweet spot, more ammunition, faster reload. What's the catch here? Well, the catch is that the Vetterli's sweet spot damage does not actually go up to 112, which is what the Martini Henry's does, which allows you to actually get a one-shot kill provided that you shoot them in the arm. Now, the arm multiplier is one of those things that really aggravates me about Battlefield 1 weapon damage mechanics, because a lot of the time you could be shooting perfectly aimed at someone's torso, but their arm happens to be in front of them, because the way you hold a weapon in this game, your forearms often block your torso shots. Arm multipliers were a mechanic that several other shooters have tried. Rainbow Six Siege started off with arm multipliers and then got rid of them because they understood how it kind of ruined some of the damage mechanics in the game for perfectly aimed shots that were actually being deflected by arms that would block the shot. And so they got rid of it. Battlefield has stuck with it, which makes sniping a far less consistent experience in Battlefield. And so the devs decided to try and make up for this with the Martini Henry by allowing the damage of the Martini to go up to 112, which will give you a one-shot kill even if you do hit them in the arm that is blocking their torso. The Vetterli, however, caps out at 100 damage, so if you hit that arm shot in close quarters, it's not going to give you the one-shot kill. And this happens all the time. I'd say it happens like a third of the time for me. Every time I hit a torso shot in close range, the damage multiplier is affected by an arm that possibly got in the way. So this is a pretty big deal. It's why the Martini Henry, I think, is still sort of the one-shot CQB king in terms of bolt-action rifles, and the Vetterli is a fun little gun, but it's, in my opinion, just nowhere near as effective, and that sweet spot damage multiplier is too dangerous for the range that you're supposed to use it at. You know, bolt-action rifles or sniper rifles are good because you can one-shot kill people from really far away. At the range at which you're supposed to one-shot kill somebody, you're going up against weapons that are in their perfect engagement distance as well. Any of the machine guns out there, lots of the SMGs, that will absolutely obliterate you at 20 meters away. And so if you miss your shot or hit an arm shot or whatever, you're dead. It really doesn't matter what you're going up against. As long as your opponent is moderately competent, they will kill you. And if you're someone who likes to snipe at further ranges, even with iron sights or some of these little red dot optics, well, the Vetterli has a very slow muzzle velocity of 440 meters per second, which means you have to lead incredibly far in front of your opponent at further ranges, and it just makes it a really bad long distance sniper rifle. I was getting kills at further ranges, but a lot of my opponents were just standing still for those kills. Now, the Vetterli can only hold 4 rounds maximum, and it has a fairly slow rate of fire at 46 rounds per minute. This means again that it's not particularly great for dealing with multiple threats or really that well suited for close quarter action, which is what its sweet spot is essentially designed for. So unfortunately, there's a few contradictions in the design of this weapon, or at least the balance of this weapon, and maybe that's done to make it more realistic. The Vetterli M1870 was already a very outdated gun by the time World War I came around. It actually wasn't used too much in the war. Some soldiers were deployed with it, but mostly because they just didn't have any better weapons to give them. So if you think about it, a weapon that's already 40 years old or more by the time World War I rolls around, I mean, you know, it's an old piece of hardware there, not really going to compete with some of the better rifles around. Now, rather than leave this weapon review at a state of saying, hey, the Vetterli's really not that great, you probably won't want to use it, I'd rather leave you guys with, or rather dice with, some suggestions for balancing this weapon out a little bit better. First of all, the rate of fire is really painful on this gun, especially for something that's supposed to be more of an aggressive recon or aggressive scout type player. It's just too slow firing, and having a damage output that's too inconsistent, especially in close quarters. I mean, 20 meters is a little bit further away than extreme close range, so it just gets tricky to use in close quarters. The added rate of fire bonus would be nice, maybe increasing the muzzle velocity slightly. 440 is rough. The Martini Henry has the same muzzle velocity. Let the Martini Henry suffer some of those things because it has an incredible damage output and an incredible sweet spot mechanics, where this gun doesn't really have incredible mechanics. So maybe bumping the muzzle velocity a little bit would be a nice way to try and balance it out a tiny bit. So faster rate of fire, faster muzzle velocity might make this weapon a bit more useful as sort of an aggressive scout type weapon. Also, the optic situation on bolt action rifles has always been one of those things that annoys me. Even the Martini Henry got a sniper variant. I think it'd be cool if they gave the Vetterli a marksman option. Just having something with sort of an actual scope, maybe a 4x zoom, would be a nice change of pace. I really don't care for having 2 variations with both close quarter optics. I mean, getting a headshot at range is still a one-shot kill, and that should be an option for all bolt action rifles out there. And so not really having the headshot type accuracy with iron sights or red dot sights does hurt the performance of this weapon as well. So more optic variation would be nice. One nice thing about this gun, though, is that the unlock requirements for it really aren't too bad. I was able to burn through both of those within a short period of time, and I'm still working on getting the marksman variation of the Mosin Nagant. So, I mean, there's definitely some plus sides in that it's not too hard to get if you have the Tsar DLC, but you might not be sticking around or playing with this gun too much after you do unlock it. Anyway, that wraps it up for this weapon review. Let me know what you guys think about this rifle in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.